Lean and tender, pork tenderloin is the perfect protein for boldly spiced sauces and crispy textural pairings. These Parmesan, Brussels, and mango habanero glaze will blow your top off, in the best way possible, of course. We'll begin by making our mango habanero sauce, which begins appropriately enough with some habaneros. I've got 5 that I removed the stems from, and I'll add those to a blender along with 1 mango that I peeled and cut into large chunks, a few cloves of garlic, a knob of ginger, an onion, some ground cumin and ground allspice, and guys, as always, exact amounts will be down below for you, so no need to take notes here. For the liquids, we'll add some honey, because we're going to definitely need that sweetness in there, some apple cider vinegar, splash of water, and of course salt and pepper to season, and then we're just going to puree this. Now, I should mention this is definitely a hot sauce. More than a glaze or a regular sauce, this is more of a condiment. We are going to cook it down some so that it won't be too spicy, but just bear in mind this is great on a lot of different things, not just our pork tenderloin. So you're going to want to make extra, tuck that in the pantry. Anyways, we'll clean up this pork tenderloin by removing any silver skin or large pieces of fat. I've got about 1.5 pounds tenderloin here, so something in that range will work just fine and serve 3 to 4 people. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't have to remove all the silver skin, but bear in mind that is not going to be a great eating experience if you bite into a big piece of it. So take a couple minutes and do this extra step here, and your guests or family will thank you. For our medallions, I'm just cutting this tenderloin into like 1.5 to 2 inch medallions. Really doesn't matter what size you do, as long as they're relatively even so they cook evenly in the skillet. Once we've got those portioned, we'll go ahead and set them aside and turn our attention to these Brussels sprouts. I've got some beautiful, really large Brussels sprouts here. I'm actually going to quarter these, but first I'm going to remove any woody or desiccated outer leaves, and then just cut off any same woody part of that bottom of the stem there, but we don't want to cut the entire stem end off because otherwise these might fall apart. So again, these are large, going to go ahead and quarter them. If yours are small, you can just put them in half, and then we'll go ahead and add them to a bowl, into which we'll pour about 1/4 cup of olive oil. We want plenty of oil because we're definitely going to try to fry these off in the oven. Season them generously with salt and pepper and a little bit of garlic powder. Just give them a loving toss, make sure they're all evenly coated. I've got the oven set to 425 Fahrenheit, and I'm going to lay these Brussels sprout quarters onto a sheet tray, making sure that that cut edge, or at least one of those cut edges, is touching the sheet tray for maximum golden brownification. Go ahead and make sure they are nice and an even layer, and we'll tuck them into that 425-degree oven for about 10 to 12 minutes. At that point, we'll go ahead and give them a flip, letting that other edge get some nice color. Definitely optional. At this point, I also went ahead and grated on some fresh Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. This is really just a taste or to your preference. Pop them back in that same oven for about 10 to 12 minutes, and they were beautiful, as you'll see in just a moment. In the meantime, we will go ahead and cook our pork. So we're going to add these tenderloins to a skillet with a little bit of olive oil in it over medium-high heat. And I definitely wouldn't do this in a non-stick. You're going to get some beautiful fond on that stainless steel, or you could use cast iron or carbon steel that you will not get if you use a non-stick skillet. But either way, you're going to give that pork 4 to 5 minutes on that first side. Once it's got a nice golden brown color and it releases easily, just flip it over. Season that other side, and we're going to tuck this into that same 425-degree oven for just a few minutes until your pork is cooked through to your liking. I'm looking for a nice medium on mine, like 140 to 145. But again, depending on how thick your pork medallions are and how well you like it cooked or how well done you like, could take 10 or 12 minutes in there. Whatever you do, do not clean out the fond in the bottom of that skillet. We are adding in that mango habanero sauce and using that water that is in that sauce to pick up all the fond off the bottom of the skillet. I've just got this rolling over medium-low heat, and I'm going to simmer this and reduce it by maybe 1/3 or so. Just cooking out those peppers and onions, reducing some of the excess liquid, and then at the very end, for some richness and body, I'm adding in a couple tablespoons of unsalted cold butter, along with any resting juices from our pork tenderloin medallions. And then I like to toss these things in that spicy, sweet, and savory sauce. Again, it definitely packs a punch, so if you're spice averse, maybe taste it before you take this step. But either way, I'm putting this down over a little bit of mashed potatoes. We've done about 15 different versions of those on the channel, so make your own or serve this up over some rice or pasta if you'd like. I'll put down a couple of those medallions, and then I'm going to very lovingly lay down some of those shockingly crispy, succulent Brussels sprout quarters. Glaze the top of those medallions with just a little more of this mango habanero sauce. And then, a little pop of some chives on there for color. And man, I'm telling you, this is a delightful and relatively simple plate of food to bring together. A few ingredients and a few steps, but easy overall. These roasted Brussels sprouts are absolutely divine. They're kind of nutty and have an almost buttered popcorn flavor and texture, but super rich, great umami notes in there as well. Simple and elegant with a nice funk from that cheese. That pork is just perfectly cooked. And of course, pork tenderloins, like any lean protein, can be kind of plain on their own, but this sauce is anything but plain. As I said before, guys, it's definitely a hot sauce more than a glaze, so packs a punch, be careful, but man, is it absolutely delightful. I hope you'll give us a try. Mix and match with whatever other ingredients you'd like to throw in that sauce to make it your own, but at the very least, as always, go make something delicious.